Welcome back to BAM's News. I'm Kamola.
And I'm Bridgette. Today on BAM's News, we recap 1917, a year of many major events in the unfolding of World War I.
Yes, 1917 was quite the year.
It really was. So much happened.
Let's look back into the months of January and February.
It's the morning of January 19th. The British receive a telegram from Alfred Zimmermann in the German army.
The telegram read,
Germany will provide support to Mexico, creating an alliance against the United States.
The telegram was made public and started an outcry from the U.S. interventionist.
This was the first main event in 1917.
The month of February had a multitude of small events.
The Germans resumed submarine warfare. Their goal was to get the British out of the war by cutting them off, starving them off.
This led to the U.S. severing ties with Germany after a U-boat sunk an American boat. U-boats were the new weapons that affected the war by sinking other countries' ships and becoming very powerful.
The final event in February takes place in the Middle East when new British troops retake Kut al-Amu in Mesopotamia from outnumbered Turks.
The British then began to take over Baghdad, followed by Ramadi and Turkey.
We now examine the events of March.
March was a crucial month in the war, and today we have a special guest from the U.S. Army to talk about the events that unfolded.
Let's give a warm welcome to the one and only Zay.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here.
So tell us about the month of March. What took place?
Well, in the beginning of the month, about March 8th, I remember hearing about this huge protest in Russia.
Oh wow! What started the protest?
The people of Russia were protesting against Tsar Nicholas II and the war. Russian soldiers even began to join in the revolution.
What happened because of this?
All of us over in the States heard on March 15th that the Russian government made a democratically minded provisional government. This happened when the ruler Tsar Nicholas was forced to leave his position on the throne. Great Britain and France also took notice of this change.
Did the U.S. do anything upon this out?
Not until early April when the U.S. entered the war.
Which we will get into later.
We also know that also on this day, Germany entered the Western Front in France, taking a strategic withdrawal to the new Siegfried Line.
Yes. This also made it so the front is shortened by 25 miles.
Well, thank you, Zay, for coming in and talking with us.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome back.
Let's keep it rolling on to the month of April.
We'll do a quick recap of the month since so much happened.
The month of April began with horrors. The British experienced a 50% death rate when Germans shot down 150 of their fighter planes. Thus, the month was called Bloody April.
On April 2nd, President Woodrow Wilson asked the Congress for consent to enter the war, saying the world must be made safe for democracy. The U.S. declares war on Germany, April 6th.
British Army soon announces that they have support from Canada and Australian troops. They start dancing towards the north.
April 16th, French 5th and 6th armies attack along 25-mile front south of the Hindenburg Line.
Also on this day, Vladimir Lenin arrives back in Russia. He was a Russian communist, voluntarily, politically, and political theorist. He served as head of government of Soviet Russia from 1917 to 1924 and the Soviet Union from 1922 to 1924.
Whoa, that was a lot.
Let's jump right into May.
Starting off on May 18th, the Selective Service Act passed by the U.S. Congress. This act states that men ages 21 through 30 have to register for the military.
May 19th, Russia announces that they will stay in the war after thinking about leaving. Russian soldiers and peasants are now flocking to Lenin Bolshevik's party, which opposes the war in the provincial government.
The next event will also take us into June.
Here's Hans from the German army.
Toodaloo! Thanks for having me.
Tell us what happened in the month of June.
Yes, June was a very big month. On June 7th, an underground explosion collapses the German-held Messines Ridge south of Ypres in Belgium. 10,000 of our soldiers were killed instantly.
Wow, that must have been a hard thing to witness.
Brings a tear to my eye every time.
What else can you tell us about the month of June?
Germany bombed London and they suffered a high casualty rate. It was a crazy time.
And the last event of June consisted of the first American troops landing in France.
Well, thank you for being here, Hans.
Thank you. Toodaloo.
Starting off on July 1st, Russian troops begin a Kerensky offensive, attempting to recapture the city of Lemberg on the Eastern Front.
July 2nd, Greece declares war on Central Powers.
End of July. On July 31st, British attempts to break German lines.
Woo! We made it to August.
August 10th, British soldiers resume attack on Ypres. Ypres is a town in the Belgian province of Western Flanders.
That was the only major event in August.
So now we can move on into September, getting into the end of the year.
September 1st, the Russian battle starts as Germany attacks Riga. Riga is Latvia's capital, and it is set on the Baltic Sea at the mouth of River Daugava.
A revised British strategy begins at Ypres, designed to wear down the Germans, September 20th.
This takes the war into October. On October 12th, Australian and New Zealand troops die by the thousands while attempting to press forward across the battlefield of liquid mud, advancing just 100 yards.
October 24th. In northern Italy, the Italian army advances as 35 German and Austrian divisions cross the Isonzo River into Italy and Capido. Then 41 Italian divisions press on 60 miles southward. By now, Italians have been worn down for years from smaller battles.
October 26th, at Ypres, the second attempt is made by Fails to capture the village of Passe-Denville. 4 days later, the Allies attack again and edge closer as the Germans slowly begin pulling out.
In the Middle East, the British, led by General Edmund Allenby, began an attack against Turkish defensive lines stretching between Gaza and Bermishra in southern Palestine on October 31st.
We will be shortly back after this commercial break. Getting into the last months.
Let's jump into November. November 11th. The German High Command, led by Erich Ludendorff, gathers at Mons, Belgium, to map out a strategy for 1918. Ludendorff bluntly states he is willing to accept 1 million German casualties in a daring plan to achieve victory in early 1918.
Georges Clemenceau becomes France's new prime minister at age 76 on November 15th.
November 20th, the last event of November. The first ever mass attacks by tanks occurs as the British Third Army rolls 381 tanks accompanied by 6 infantry divisions. The attack targets a 6-mile wide portion of the front and by the end of the first day appears to be a spectacular success with 5 miles gained by 2 German divisions wrecked. The news is celebrated by the ringing of church bells in England for the first time since 1914.
However, similar to passive offenses, the opportunity to exploit first-day gains is missed, followed by the arrival of heavy German reinforcements and an effective counterattack in which the Germans take back most of the ground they lost.
Finally, into December.
December 7, 1917, Romania includes an armistice with Central Powers due to the demise of Imperial Russia, its former military ally.
December 9th, 1917. Jerusalem is captured by the British. This ends 4 centuries of its control by the Ottoman Turkish Empire. Thank you so much for watching this episode of BAM's News.
Tune in next week when we cover 1918.
I'm Bridget.
I'm Kamola. Signing off.